Right now, somewhere in the world, someone with half your talent is living the life you want. Someone with less skill gets more respect. Someone weaker than you has more influence. And the difference isn't luck, it isn't connections, it isn't even hard work. It's something darker, something most people never see until it's too late. You were taught to believe obstacles happen to you, that setbacks are accidents, that being blocked or broken is just life. But here's the truth that shatters everything. The only force that can actually stop you is you. And I already know what you're thinking. What about the betrayals? What about the chances I never got? What about when life wasn't fair? Exactly. That mindset is the cage. Because while you're listing reasons, someone else is taking territory. Machiavelli spent years watching powerful men rise and fall. He saw kingdoms built and destroyed. And he discovered something that most people are too afraid to accept. The world doesn't care about your feelings. It only responds to your actions. By the end of this video, you're going to understand why nothing external can truly stop you unless you allow it. Why being broken is actually a choice. And most importantly, how to become the kind of person who turns every obstacle into an advantage, every setback into a setup, and every attack into ammunition. Are you ready to stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being the architect of your destiny? Now, drop this declaration in the comments. I refuse to be stopped. Number 1, the illusion of external obstacles. Here's something that's going to upset you. Most of the obstacles you think are stopping you don't actually exist. They're stories you're telling yourself, excuses you've dressed up as reasons, fears you've disguised as impossibilities. Think about the last time you said you couldn't do something. Was it actually impossible, or did you just convince yourself it was too hard? Did circumstances truly prevent you, or did you use circumstances as permission to quit? The brutal reality is this: every obstacle in your life is a test, and most people fail that test before they even attempt it. They see a challenge and immediately start listing reasons why it won't work. They encounter resistance and treat it like a stop sign instead of a speed bump. People who never get stopped understand something fundamental. Obstacles are not walls, they're filters. They're designed to separate those who want something from those who need something. You've been conditioned to see problems as endings, but powerful people see problems as information. When something doesn't work, they don't stop. They adjust. When someone says no, they don't quit. They find another path. When life pushes them down, they don't stay down. They study why they fell. Machiavelli once said, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." What he understood is that your obstacles are only as big as your commitment is small. When you're truly committed, problems become puzzles. Setbacks become data. Resistance becomes confirmation that you're going in the right direction. Most people have it backwards. They think successful people face fewer obstacles. Wrong. Successful people face the same obstacles. They just refuse to let those obstacles mean anything other than try harder or try differently. Your boss passes you over for promotion. That's not an obstacle. That's information about where you currently stand and what you need to develop. Your business idea fails. That's not an obstacle. That's education about what the market actually wants. Someone betrays you. That's not an obstacle. That's clarity about who deserves your trust. Every single thing you call an obstacle is actually an opportunity disguised as difficulty, but you have to be psychologically strong enough to see it that way. Weak minds see obstacles and stop. Strong minds see obstacles and strategize. Starting today, when something doesn't go your way, I want you to ask 3 questions. First, what is this teaching me? Second, how can I use this? Third, what would someone unstoppable do right now? Those 3 questions will transform every obstacle from a reason to quit into fuel to continue. Now comment this: obstacles reveal my strength. Number 2, breaking is a decision, not a destination. Let me tell you something that nobody wants to hear. You're not broken because of what happened to you. You're broken because of what you decided it meant. Life is going to hit you hard. It's going to betray you, disappoint you, and test you in ways you never imagined. People you trust will turn on you. Plans you invested in will fall apart. Dreams you believed in will crumble. That's not an if, that's a when. But here's what separates the unstoppable from the permanently damaged. One group lets life's hits define them. The other group lets life's hits refine them. When something traumatic happens, you have exactly one choice that determines your entire future. Do you become a victim of what happened, or do you become a student of what happened? Do you let it break you, or do you let it build you? Most people choose victim, not because they're weak, but because it's easier. Being a victim means you don't have to take responsibility. You can blame your circumstances. You can point to your past. You can explain why your life isn't what you wanted without having to change anything. But being a student of your pain, that's harder. That requires you to look at your worst moments and ask, what can I extract from this? That demands you transform suffering into wisdom. That forces you to take the worst things that ever happened to you and use them as material to build something unbreakable. Machiavelli once said, entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage. He was talking about more than business. He was talking about psychology. Think about metal. When you want to make steel stronger, what do? You heat it to extreme temperatures. You hammer it repeatedly. You subject it to processes that would destroy weaker materials. And through that brutal process, it becomes harder, sharper, more valuable. You're the same way. Every betrayal can make you more discerning. Every failure can make you more strategic. Every loss can make you more focused. But only if you choose to extract those lessons instead of just collecting wounds. I've watched people go through identical situations and emerge completely different. Same betrayal, same loss, same failure. One becomes bitter. The other becomes wiser, stronger, more dangerous in the best way. The difference isn't what happened. The difference is what they decided to do with what happened. Being broken is comfortable. You get sympathy. People lower expectations. You have excuses. But being broken is also a prison, and you're both the prisoner and the guard. Breaking free requires courage to stop identifying with your pain, the discipline to stop telling your victim story, the strength to look at your worst experiences and say, thank you for the education. Your trauma is something that happened to you. It's not who you are, unless you make it who you are. Now comment this: pain built me. It won't break me. Number 3, psychological sovereignty. Here's a question that will determine your entire life. Who's running your mind? Is it you, or is it everyone else? Most people's minds are like public property. Everyone gets access. Everyone leaves their opinions there. Everyone plants their doubts, fears, and judgments inside your head, and you just accept it all. Someone tells you you're not good enough, and you believe it. Someone says your dream is unrealistic, and you abandon it. Your mind has become a dumping ground for other people's limitations. This is why most people stay stuck, not because they lack capability, but because they're operating their mind like it's a democracy where everyone gets a vote. Your parents vote on your career, your friends vote on your relationships, society votes on how you should live. Psychological sovereignty means your mind is a dictatorship and you're the dictator. Nobody gets access unless you grant it. Nobody's opinion matters unless you decide it matters. Machiavelli once said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are." Public opinion is about perception, but your power comes from internal reality. And internal reality is something you control completely. Think about the people who achieve extraordinary things. Do you think they got there by listening to every critic? By accepting every limitation others placed on them? They got there by developing such strong psychological sovereignty that external noise became irrelevant. This is the skill you must develop. Mental borders, psychological walls, internal security systems that filter out anything that doesn't serve your vision. When someone criticizes you, pause and ask, does this person have authority in my life? Have they accomplished what I'm trying to accomplish? If the answers are no, their opinion gets zero access. Your mind is the only territory you truly control. You don't control the economy. You don't control other people. But you absolutely control what you allow to influence your thoughts. The moment you establish psychological sovereignty, something shifts. People sense it. Guilt doesn't work on you anymore. Manipulation doesn't land. You've become immune to the weapons that control most people. This is true power, not the ability to control others, the ability to remain uncontrolled by others. Treat your mind like a fortress. Question every thought before you accept it as true. Your psychological sovereignty is the foundation of becoming unstoppable. Now, comment this: my mind belongs to me alone. Number 4, strategic suffering. Here's something nobody tells you about pain. It's not just something to survive, it's something to use. Most people experience suffering and immediately try to escape it. They distract themselves, numb themselves, or collapse. But people who become truly unstoppable do something different. They extract value from their pain before they release it. Every difficult experience contains intelligence. Every betrayal teaches you about human nature. Every failure reveals flaws in your strategy. But you only get these lessons if you're willing to study your pain instead of just feeling it. This is strategic suffering, the ability to transform pain from a destructive force into a constructive tool. When something terrible happens, most people ask, "Why me?" That leads nowhere except self-pity. But strategic sufferers ask different questions. What can I learn from this? How can this make me stronger? What weakness did this expose? Machiavelli once said, "The wise man does at once what the fool does finally." Pain is inevitable. The only question is whether you learn from it immediately or waste years avoiding the lesson. Think about a workout. When you lift weights, you're causing micro tears in your muscle tissue. It hurts, but those tears heal stronger. That's how muscles grow. Not despite the pain, but because of the pain. Your life works the same way. When something tears you apart, you have two choices. Let it destroy you, or let it rebuild you stronger. Strategic suffering means sitting with your pain long enough to understand it, not running from it, actually examining it like a scientist studies data. This betrayal hurts. Why? Because I trusted too quickly. What do I need to change? That's strategic suffering. You're extracting wisdom from the wound. Most people waste their suffering. They experience pain and gain nothing except bitterness. They get hurt once and spend their lives protecting themselves from ever being hurt again, which means they protect themselves from ever achieving anything significant. But strategic sufferers are different. Every pain point becomes a data point. Every wound becomes wisdom. Every scar becomes a lesson that makes them more formidable. You can't become unstoppable without pain, because unstoppable means you've been tested by fire and didn't burn. It means you faced your worst fears and survived. So stop running from pain. Become a student of it. Study every difficulty. Extract every lesson. Use every wound as material to forge something unbreakable. The person who masters strategic suffering becomes truly unstoppable, because they've learned to transform their capacity to feel pain into their capacity to learn from anything. Now comment this: my pain teaches me power. Number 5, the unstoppable mindset. Let me tell you what makes someone truly unstoppable. It's not talent, it's not resources, it's the absolute refusal to accept being stopped as an option. Most people have backup plans. They have exit strategies. They start something with one foot already pointed toward the door, and that's exactly why they fail. The unstoppable mindset doesn't have a plan B. Not because plan B is bad, but because having a backup plan psychologically undermines your commitment to plan A. It gives you permission to quit. When quitting is not an option, you find solutions you never would have considered. When failure is not acceptable, you discover capabilities you didn't know you had. Two people face the same obstacle. One sees a dead end, the other sees a puzzle. The obstacle is identical, but their psychological response creates completely different outcomes. The unstoppable mindset is built on 3 beliefs. First, there is always a way. Second, temporary defeats are just information. Third, you are resourceful enough to figure it out. These beliefs create a psychological foundation that cannot be shaken. People with this foundation don't get stopped. They get challenged, and challenges make them more determined. Here's how you build this mindset. Start proving to yourself that you can push through when things get hard. Stay disciplined when you don't feel like it. Keep your word when it's inconvenient. Finish what you start. Each time you follow through despite discomfort, you're proving to yourself that you're the kind of person who doesn't quit. And that self-evidence becomes unshakable confidence. Every time you quit when things get difficult, you're teaching yourself that you're stoppable. Your mind learns from repetition. If you repeatedly push through, you become unstoppable. If you repeatedly quit, you become fragile. This is why discipline matters more than motivation. Motivation is an emotion. Discipline is a decision, and that choice, made repeatedly, creates an unstoppable identity. Now comment this: nothing stops me. I adapt and overcome. Number 6. Emotional invincibility. Here's the secret that separates the unstoppable from everyone else. They've made themselves emotionally bulletproof, not by feeling nothing, but by refusing to let feelings control their actions. Most people are slaves to their emotions. They feel discouraged, so they quit. They feel afraid, so they don't start. They feel hurt, so they retreat. Their emotions are running the show. Emotions are meant to be information, not instructions. Fear tells you there's risk. It doesn't tell you what to do. Discouragement tells you something is difficult. It doesn't tell you whether to quit or persist. But most people treat emotions like commands. Feel scared, don't do the thing. Feel angry, lash out. They've handed control of their life to the most unstable part of themselves. Emotional invincibility means understanding that feelings pass through you. They don't define you. You can feel fear and still take action. You can feel discouraged and still continue. When you develop emotional invincibility, people can't manipulate you anymore. They can't use guilt to control you. They can't use anger to intimidate you. Because you've disconnected your emotions from your decisions. This doesn't mean being unfeeling. It means being strategic about when emotions influence you. You feel them, you acknowledge them, but you don't obey them unless they align with logic. Here's how you build this skill. Start noticing the gap between feeling and action. Feel angry? Don't immediately express it. Sit with it for 10 seconds. Feel the emotion without acting on it. This gap between stimulus and response is where your power lives. Most people have no gap. Something happens, they feel something, they react. Automatic, predictable, controllable, but you're creating space. Stimulus, feeling, pause, strategic decision, action. In that pause, you reclaim control. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, your emotions inform you but don't control you. You can feel anything and still choose the strategically correct action. That's emotional invincibility. And once you have it, you become truly unstoppable. Because the primary way people are stopped is through emotional manipulation. Now comment this: I feel everything. I'm controlled by nothing. Number 7, leveraging everything. Here's what unstoppable people understand. Everything can be used. Every experience, every person, every situation. Everything is potential leverage if you're strategic enough to see it. Most people divide experiences into good and bad. Good things help, bad things hurt. But this binary thinking leaves massive value on the table. Even bad experiences contain usable material if you extract it correctly. Got fired? That's leverage. You now understand what not to do. You've learned which environments don't suit you. Someone betrayed you? That's leverage. You now have perfect clarity about who they are. You've learned to spot warning signs earlier. The key is asking, how can I use this? That question transforms you from victim to strategist. It takes any situation and forces you to extract value from it. And when you extract value from everything, you become unstoppable. Machiavelli once said, "Never waste the opportunity offered by a good crisis." Crisis creates chaos, and chaos creates openings. While everyone panics, the strategic mind looks for angles. Think about resources. Most people only see obvious resources: money, connections, skills. But unstoppable people see hidden resources everywhere. That person who rejected you, they're motivated to prove themselves wrong when you succeed. That failure everyone knows about, it's social proof that you take risks. Everything is inventory. The question is whether you're creative enough to find uses for what you have. This applies to people too, not in a manipulative way, but every relationship has potential value. Someone who doesn't like you, that's valuable information. Someone who challenges you, that's a free training partner making you sharper. When you start seeing everything as potential leverage, your entire psychology shifts. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is purely negative. Everything feeds into your growth. Bad childhood? That's leverage. You're tougher than people who had it easy. Limited education? That's leverage. You learn to be resourceful. Started with nothing. That's leverage. You developed hunger. This isn't toxic positivity. This is strategic extraction. You're not pretending bad things are good. You're acknowledging they're bad and finding usable material within them anyway. The unstoppable mindset refuses to let anything be purely negative, because waste is weakness, and you're not building a wasteful mind. You're building an efficient one that processes everything into fuel. Now comment this: everything becomes leverage in my hands. Number 8, permanent forward motion. Here's the final truth about being unstoppable. It's not about never falling. It's not about never failing. It's about never staying down. It's about maintaining forward motion even when forward feels impossible. Machiavelli once said, "Where the willingness is great, the difficulties cannot be great." Determination transforms how you perceive challenges. They're not smaller objectively, but they're smaller relative to your commitment. Think about water. Water never stops. You put a rock in its path, it flows around. You build a dam, it finds another route or rises over it. You freeze it, and it waits as ice until conditions allow it to flow again. You need that psychology. Obstacle, flow around it. Blockage, find another path. Temporary freeze, wait and prepare, but always moving forward in some way. This doesn't mean being reckless. Sometimes forward motion is preparation. Sometimes it's learning. Sometimes it's building relationships. But it's always something. You're never fully stopped. You lose your job. Instead of spiraling, you immediately shift into motion. Update resume. Reach out to contacts. Learn new skills. You're moving forward even though you're unemployed. Permanent forward motion means every single day you're doing something that moves you closer to where you want to be. Not huge things necessarily, but something. This is the final piece. Being unstoppable isn't about being perfect. It's about making a simple decision that you will keep moving forward no matter what. And then honoring that decision every single day. Because when nothing can make you stop moving forward, nothing can stop you. Period. Now, comment this: I move forward, always forward, only forward. You've just learned the 8 principles that make someone truly unstoppable. Not in theory, in reality. These aren't motivational concepts. These are psychological weapons. Let me bring this together. External obstacles are illusions. Your real obstacle is always internal. Being broken is a choice. You can let pain destroy you or build you. Psychological sovereignty means your mind belongs to you alone. Nobody else gets a vote. Strategic suffering means extracting lessons from every painful experience. Nothing is wasted. The unstoppable mindset refuses to accept being stopped as an option. Ever. Emotional invincibility means feelings inform, but don't control your decisions. Leveraging everything means finding value in every experience, good or bad. Permanent forward motion means you're always progressing, even if slowly. These 8 principles create something powerful, a psychological foundation that cannot be shaken, a mind that cannot be broken, a will that cannot be stopped. But here's what you need to understand. Knowing these principles is worthless. The only thing that matters is whether you apply them. Starting right now, in your very next decision, in your very next challenge. The world is full of people with potential who never become actual, full of people with knowledge who never take action. Don't be one of them. Machiavelli once said, "It is not titles that honor men, but men that honor titles." Your potential means nothing until you actualize it. Your knowledge means nothing until you apply it. So here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these 8 principles, just one. For the next 7 days, practice it relentlessly. Notice how it changes your responses. Notice how it changes your results. Then add another principle, and another, until all 8 are part of how you operate naturally. Until being unstoppable isn't something you try to be, it's simply what you are. Because that's what this is really about, not learning how to be unstoppable, becoming someone who is unstoppable, where it's not an act you put on, it's your authentic identity. Everything in your life up until this moment has been training. Every obstacle taught you resilience. Every betrayal taught you discernment. Every failure taught you strategy. Every painful experience gave you strength you didn't have before. You're ready. You have everything you need. The only question is whether you'll finally give yourself permission to become who you're capable of being. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for someone's approval. Stop waiting for the fear to go away. Just start. Start moving. Start building. Start becoming unstoppable. Because the world doesn't reward intention. It rewards action. The world doesn't care about your potential. It responds to your momentum. If this video opened your eyes to what's possible, hit that like button. If you know someone who needs to hear this message, share it with them. If you want more content that transforms psychology into power, subscribe and ring that notification bell. But most importantly, take action. Right now, not tomorrow, not next week. Right now. Make one decision. Take one step. Do one thing that moves you forward. Your past doesn't determine your future. Your circumstances don't control your destiny. Your obstacles don't define what's possible. The only thing that determines your future is what you decide to do starting from this moment forward. So decide, right now. Are you going to continue being someone who can be held back, broken, and stopped? Or are you going to become someone who is unstoppable? The choice has always been yours. It will always be yours. Nobody else can make you unstoppable. Nobody else can stop you from being unstoppable. It's entirely within your control. Now drop this final declaration in the comments. Nothing holds me back. Nothing breaks me. Nothing stops me. I am unstoppable. Remember, in a world full of people making excuses, the person who refuses to be stopped owns the future. Be that person. Become unstoppable. And watch how everything changes when you finally stop accepting limitations as real.